I have a secret strategy that I use to fill my beds, and I call it the Strategic 20. We got as high as 62 people on our wait list. Last week, I was in Houston, Texas, doing a presentation on how to fill your beds to a group of people who own their own assisted livings, and I shared my secret and my strategy. So if you missed it, I'll show you this presentation. My name is Brett Shotkavis from Platinum Assisted Living Mentoring. Check me out at palm.university. Here's my presentation.
Brett, thanks for coming out today. Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Good. Welcome to Houston. At least for me, because I'm from Austin. Right, I drove here this morning. So, how many people here have active operating assisted living? Raise your hand. Okay, wonderful. And then, is anybody in construction or looking for land or trying to get it going? Okay, a couple of people going also. Anybody even before that, like you just have a dream right now, and you're kind of like, I haven't even got off the ground. We got some of those also? Okay. So I will talk to you today about how to build a massive waitlist. And this is applicable to if you are currently operating a facility, if you are under construction, or if all you have right now is a dream, and you're going to use this strategy to be able to fill your beds or raise money to be able to do this. So this is what we're going to talk about today, how to build a massive waitlist. So I have a very big wait list. We got as high as 62 beds on our wait list. And in addition to that, while we were under construction, we had almost all of our bedrooms sold, meaning I had a $2,000 check in hand from somebody waiting to move in. So there's the system I'm going to talk to you about today is how we did that and how we maintained a wait list. This is me, Brett Shotkavis, my beautiful wife, Laura. We own and operate Platinum Resort. It's assisted living and memory care in Georgetown, Texas. We are a small 16-bed type B. We've been open for about 3 years. So today we're really going to talk about marketing, but the theme behind it, the theme is getting known. And what I mean by that is who knows you, because really this is all about relations. Everything I'm going to talk about today is how to build relations and getting known by the right people. So this is the quote that I really love. It's not who you know that matters, it's who knows you, right? You can know a lot of people in the industry, but that is worthless if they don't know your name. Do they actually know you? Do they know you by name? Do they know your company's name? Do they know your heart, your vision, your dream, if that's all you have right now? You have to get known by people to be able to fill your beds. Now, moreover than that, it's just not known by people, it's who are the right people. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So we use this strategy, and I'll refer to it as the influencer strategy. Okay, let me give you an example. My daughters, they are 8 and 11 years old. They have a jewelry business. They make and they sell earrings and bracelets. And one of the strategies we use for them is we go or they go on Instagram and they find influencers, right? They find these women who are fashion influencers, jewelry influencers. They have 1 million followers or 500,000 followers. And my girls reach out to them. They DM them. They actually mail them to their home address earrings, right? Earrings that they made from scratch, that they designed. And the intention is that that influencer will go on their platform to their followers, right? And they will say, hey, you know, these girls at Kylan Jewelry & Co., which is my daughters, made these earrings. I'm wearing them here. They're gorgeous. Check out their website. I love these. I want to support these girls, right? Now, those influencers, they have two things which qualify them. One, they have authority in their message. When they give a referral, they have authority to a specific group. Now they have a platform and they have a certain avatar of people that are following them, right? If they are fashion influencers, they have people that are similar to them following them because of fashion. So we are not selling jewelry, but the principle is the same. So I'm going to show you how to apply the principle and break it down step by step and how we can do this for assisted living locally here in Texas. Okay, so as we're looking at this, I'm going to break this down into two kind of sections. There are people in the industry and there are people in your community. Additionally, I separate it into there are people that you pay and there are people that are non-paid. They're just referrals, unpaid. So we're going to look at this strategy and how to apply it to these sections. Okay, so I call this my strategic 20. Okay, my strategic 20. It's a list of my highest priority 20 people that have my customers. They have authority in their recommendation, and they have my ideal customer. So who is my strategic 20? Who is my ideal customer, right? Because my goal is not to go around my city and try and sell thousands of people, trying to give my elevator pitch to over and over and over and to so many different people. What I want to do, I want to sell one person who has authority in their niche and has a platform and has a group of followers behind them that are similar in their ideal customer, right? I want to sell that one person, and I want to convince them to recommend my assisted living. So my assisted living platinum resort, so I'll reference that today. But if I can sell one person, they will be selling for me for the next year or two, right? I might make one sale and get 100 referrals from this, right? So here's the principle: how to find the 20 most strategic people in your community, whether they're in the industry, whether they're in the community, and then you can pay or unpaid to be able to have like a little army of people who are spending the next year or two as you're cultivating this relationship to be able to promote you, to promote your assisted living. So that is what the strategic 20 is. I'll show you as we go through this presentation how to build that list, but it's really an ever evolving list because these are people, they're relationships, right? So you are really there not to check off a list and bring cookies like the home health and hospice companies do, right? You're there to build an actual genuine friendship. And there's going to be people you click with and you don't. So you'll have a result sometimes and you won't have a result. And sometimes it's natural, and sometimes it kind of takes 6 months or 12 months to really create a bond and build some type of relationship, learn about them and their family, and get them to tour your facility and serve them, right? So it's an ongoing, ever-evolving process. But with that in mind, the goal is to find 20 people, not 200 people, right? You're not trying to sell so many people. You're not trying to spread yourself thin. You're trying to build genuine friendships, genuine relationships with a small group of people who have the biggest bang for your buck. Okay, that's what we're talking about today. That is the strategic 20. That is how we fill our beds. That is how we have 62 people on the wait list, and we continually have 1 or 2 people every single week that we add to our wait list, right? So the quadrants here, you see the 4 squares? This is how I break this down. I think it's pretty simple to understand it, this kind of concept. At the very top, you have industry. So people in this space, right? In home health, in hospice, in nursing, in doctors, even financial planners, people like that. They're in the industry. That's on top. Okay, down below is people in your community. There are people in your city, in your town that also are combining together at different hangouts, at different social events, at different nonprofits because they are similar in their life stage. They're similar in what they are looking for, and people naturally come together similarly. So that's people in your community. We're going to look at both of these things, and then we also will break it the other way, left and right, between people you pay and people you don't pay. Right now, I am a big proponent of not paying for my leads. In the last 3 years, I have paid a referral agency twice. That's it. I have no problem paying for it, but I don't need to because we cultivated the one side of the quadrant, which is relationships. And there's plenty of people that are not allowed to charge you for these things, right? So let's talk about these, and I'll take you step by step through it. I think it's easier to start at the top in the industry, and it's obviously easier to pay for something because people will always take your call if you're going to pay them. And then we'll work through it in kind of a sequential order. But really the thing is working all 4 of these sections in the quadrant here to build out your strategic 20 list. Okay, so let me review the 4 steps here. Okay, step 1, and each one of these steps is a quadrant, right? So we're going to start at the top for 1 and 2, and then we'll work our way to the bottom for 3 and 4. So step 1, paying for placement agents, right? You're in the industry and you're paying. That's the easiest, quickest way to go. They will always take your call because you're offering to pay them. Step 2, referrals from industry leaders. You're still in the industry. You're talking to home health nurses, hospice nurses, doctors, placement agents, not placement, rehabs, these people, right? They have your people, they have your customers, they need to put them somewhere, right? They will take your call. That's an easy one to do also, right? Top is industry. That's the easiest way to go. Step 3, sponsoring community groups. Now you're in the community. You may not know people yet in the community, but you were able to get your name out there by sponsoring, whether it's donating to like galas, or whether it's promoting on local event pages or local magazines. That's step 3. Step 4 is now you've met those people. You are going to actually build a genuine relationship with the community influencers, with the community leaders. Someone in there who has a group of people that are similar to them that are all your potential customers. So we'll hit those 4, and then I'll talk about a bonus at the end of what something else you can do. So there's our 4 steps to our strategic 20. So we're going to start by talking about the top 2 boxes in our quadrant, which is the industry, people in this industry, okay? We'll break this down into paid and unpaid. Okay, so step 1, paying the placement agent. Paying the placement agent is the easiest, quickest way to start. I would say this, I kind of break things in sequence between 1 through 4, and it's because it is easiest as you start with 1, and it's the shortest amount of time. As you are getting further into the quadrants in 3 and 4, it takes more time, it takes more effort. I would call it more of like your medium game or your long game, right? Really, it kind of, you get the flywheel going and spinning, and it takes some time, but you throw out the most results in 3 and 4, but it takes time to get going there. So paying the industry leaders, you are trading your time, or you're trading your money for their time, right? They are out there, they are doing the equivalent of what I'm talking about. They are drawing up leads. They are finding people to refer to you. And you, because you don't want to trade your time yet, you want to trade your money. Now, there's some people who like, hey, I'm totally fine with that. I would rather pay, I'm gonna stay in my lane, stay in my niche. So this is a legitimate way to do it. This is a legitimate way to put this on your strategic 20. And I think as you are starting out, if you don't know anybody yet, you're either starting out or you keep this as a backup option. It is the easiest way to fill your beds, because you're just going to trade money. Here's $5 grand, fill my bed, please, right? But I like my $5 grand and I don't want to give it to them. So I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to focus on some other things. We'll get there, right? But referral agencies, like A Place for Mom, there's a ton of local referral agencies, and they will for sure take your call, right? You don't have to get introduced. They're trying to make money, right? They will take your call. They will come tour your home, and it is the best and easiest place to start. Now, when I say start there, this is just a starting point, and for me, it's a backup option. It's like a plan B, right? But it is not really a marketing strategy. And I think that some people will teach that, oh, assisted living is easy. You go and just convert a house and do this, and you just find a placement agency, they'll fill your beds, right? Like, that's not a marketing strategy. That's like a coach's like cop out on like, oh, you can do this, right? Like that's not how I would want to run my business, and I would never want to depend my family's income on a placement agency. If they, changed persons there, that they don't know you anymore, if they went out of business, if they started slowing down and stopping spending their marketing dollars, then like your leads dry up. And what happens if you have 2 beds, right? Are you losing 10 grand a month? Like that's how I take care of my family, my children. I would never want to put all my eggs in one basket with a placement agency, even if I had 2 or 3 of them. But for sure, put them on the strategic 20 list, as well as the other 3 quadrants. So we'll kind of keep building through this, but I want you to know this is the easiest, quickest place to start, and it's great to have them in your corner as a backup plan, and that's the way I use it. So that is step 1. Step 2, okay, we're on the top of the quadrant here, and we're still in the industry, people. So now we're talking about people that are in the industry, and there's home health, nurses, hospice, all these different people, right? And they have a business to run, and part of that is solving a problem of the resident. Okay, they may not even be a resident yet, or they may be a resident somewhere else, but this elderly person either needs to be placed, or they need to be placed somewhere else. They may need to go from independent living to assisted living, from assisted living to memory care, whatever the case may be. But there is a home health person, a hospice nurse, there is a referral person, or a discharge person that has a problem. That problem is, I have a resident that needs more care. Where do I put them? You are a potential solution to their problem, right? This is why you don't have to pay. but you have to get known by them. They have to know your name. They have to know your business's name. They should have to tour. You should take them to lunch, to coffee. They should know your heart, right? Because this industry is full of like these corporate, smelly, gross places. It's really bad, this industry. Like it is so easy to do well because all you have to do is be like better than average, and because everyone else is crap, right? Like, so you should be out there sharing your heart. You should be talking to these people. You should be touring with them. They are your front line of defense. Now, I would say that we're still in the top part of in the industry. It is so easy to talk to people in the industry because people love talking about stuff they are already passionate about. If you are in this industry, you are passionate about serving people or seniors or healthcare or something like that, and it's very easy to strike up this conversation, right? So this is where we need to start immediately, okay? Start with the phase 2, the step 2 is getting out there, building your network, because they are very easy to talk to, and they will always come to her. Hospice companies will always come to her, right? You need to have a list of them, find out who it is that has that is in your area that can potentially refer you, and put those people on the strategic 20. So with a disclaimer on that, when I build out my strategic 20, I'm not putting company names on this list, right? It's not a company name. It's not, United Hospice, right? I need the one person who works for United Hospice that is my girl or my boy. That person that I call, that I take to coffee, that I learn about their children, that I build an actual genuine friendship or relationship with. I need to know that person's name. There might be 2 or 3 of them, which is great. I'm going to put 2 or 3 on my list. But I need to have a name, not a company. Company, I can't just call and build a friendship with. A person that works there or owns that is who I need to find. So you can do this while you're operating, and I think this is one of the main ways that we build our waitlist and fill our beds, but you can also do this while you're under construction, while you still have nothing, you just have a dream. They will take your calls. They will meet you for coffee, right? A lot of these hospice and home health companies, they have a budget for all this marketing stuff. They're always bringing cookies and snacks and activities, right? Like they get a budget for that. They'll take you to coffee, or you can take them. There's plenty of time for this kind of stuff. But start now. You can start early, even if you don't have your facility or a home open yet. So they already have your customers. Okay, they are considered what I consider a leader and expert in the industry, and I'll use that as an influencer. They are an influencer, not in the way you think of on Instagram, but in a very similar way, because when they give a referral, there's power to that referral. There's authority because they're an expert in this field, right? And they have a platform. They have a platform because they're going to other assisted livings, or they're going to other independent livings, or they're going to people's homes and they're meeting with daughter. And they're saying, daughter, hey, your mom's this, and I think she's starting to decline now, or maybe she needs help with ADLs, right? This person in the industry is an influencer because of these two things. They have your people, they have the opportunity to talk to them, and they have a power in their ability to refer. So you need them to refer you, right? You need to have this relationship. You need to get known by these people, and not by these companies, but by these people who are the people there. So that is what step 2 looks like. Okay, we'll transition. We'll talk about the community. Now, a lot of people in this field, and I think, in my opinion, that marketing is done very, very poorly in assisted living. People will think of it as one of 2 ways. They think the placement agent is my entire strategy, and that's what I do, or it's the placement agent and some home health companies, and maybe I'll go to the chamber, right? Like that's people's marketing plan. I don't think that's really much of a plan. It's not much of a strategy, because you're missing the greatest portion of it. And we'll talk about that with 3 and 4. Okay, the greatest opportunity to get known in your community is the next thing we're going to talk about. And it is the slower play. It's kind of medium to long, but you will throw off the most amount of leads, the most tours, the most calls because of this versus the people in the industry. Now, it is important to build up all 4 of these quadrants, but nonetheless, this takes more time. So you can work both of these here. Okay, so let's talk about this. Don't stop with just the people in the industry. There is a whole city or town or metropolis of people that can refer for you. So who are the influencers in your city? And how do we find them? How do we know which influencers have a stage or a platform to talk to our potential customers, and which influencers are just something totally different, nothing related to us, right? How do we find out who they are? And before we even do that, do we know, have we identified who our ideal customer is? Because if we know who our customer is, then we can find out who they follow, right? Then we can go find out who is this person I need to build a relationship with. But how do we even know these things? So let's talk about that before we get into the third step. The 3 questions that I use to get known by your ideal customer. Okay, so first let's talk about who is our ideal customer. And I would say this, that who our ideal customer is not, at least here's mine, okay? Our ideal customer is not the resident. It is not the 80, 90-year-old man or woman, right? That is not my customer, because they have a POA. They're not even like writing me a check, right? It's like their daughter usually, right? So the resident is not my ideal customer, but it's the person who is the POA. Now let's break down this POA person. In my experience, usually it is the daughter. Now it can be the son, it can be the spouse, but let's be general here, right? Because we're going to try and create this avatar using kind of generalities as much as we can. Now, there's always going to be variants of one-offs, but we're not going to focus on that. So we have this resident. It's usually the daughter, okay? So we have a daughter of somebody who is 80, 90, pushing 100 years old. So by default, they're 20 or 30 years younger than this potential resident, right? So now we have a female. We've already cut population by half. We have a female, and we have a female who is, say, 50 to 70 years old, okay? Now we're notching things down here. Okay, we're trying to find this person. We're trying to identify who they are so we can find them. So female, 50 to 70. Now they have to also be in your area, right? My daughters sell earrings, and they do it across the country, but we sell rooms and ADLs, and that is a brick and mortar spot in your city, right? Whether we're here in Houston, you're probably somewhere within 30 minutes, maybe 20 minutes of your actual building. So we're notching this down even more. Female, 50 to 70. That's in 20 or 30 minutes of your home, okay? Now, we run a private pay model, and we run a luxury home, and it's on the not cheap side. And so that way, I know that my people, in addition to being female, 50 to 70, and near me, they also have to have some income, right? Either the daughter does, the daughter's family, or the resident. One of them has to have some capital, right? So now we've notched these things down pretty good. We have a good idea. We know they're female, our avatar. We know they're 50 to 70. They have some capital, and they live near me. Now I call that avatar, I call them Carol, because one of our first residents, her daughter's name was Carol. And then all of a sudden, after I fast forward like a year or two, all the daughters, they look the same. They're like literally all Carols. Like they all, like once you know your niche and you find out who you're looking for, like these people come in, all the POAs, they're like the exact same avatar. It's like, man, I really nailed my marketing because I'm getting the exact same group of people that are coming in. So this Carol, I know who she is now, I've identified her. Now, where is Carol going, right? If you are 50 to 70 years old and you live in your city, and I'm in Georgetown, Texas, and you have money, what are you gonna do? Where are you gonna go? So you don't have young kids because you're 50 to 70, right? You're probably newly retired. You're still healthy. You have income to be able to go around. So you are active in the community. You're either active in your church, you're active in like the country club or maybe the wine bar. You're active in nonprofits. You're active in doing something. You have a lot of free time and you have capital to spend. You're hanging with your grandkids, and then you're going and you're hanging out with your girlfriends. So where are my Carols and all of her girlfriends hanging out? Okay, that's important to know because wherever they are going, I want to market there. And in addition to that, I want to know who is the leader of those groups. Who is the influencer? Who is the one lady who walks into the wine bar and everyone says, hey, and she knows everyone there. Because once I can sell that one lady, for the next year, she's gonna be telling all of her friends, right? Whether they're at Bible studies, small group, whether they're at the nonprofit, the fundraiser they're at, whether the wine bar or the country club, she's gonna be telling because all of her girlfriends are in the exact same stage of life. Their parents is getting older and they have the means to put them somewhere. So I wanted to sell that person. I want to sell that influencer and tour them in my home and share my heart and find out about them and actually develop an actual relationship, some type of actual friendship. And now this is why it's in the steps 3 and 4, because it takes a little bit more time, right? If you're going to actually have a real relationship and not just offer $5,000 for referral fee, it might take some real time, some real investment on your part. That's why we're not doing a list of 200, right? We have a list of 20. Who are the 20 people who can give me the best bang for my buck, or the best bang for my time? Okay, so let's talk more about this. Different community examples, right? We talked about Carol. Where was Carol hanging out? The local 55 plus hangouts, right? Is there a 55 plus community around here? Is there a golf course there? Is there a restaurant on that golf course? Do you have to be 55 plus to go there, right? What's the charity organizations? This is a big one for us. And there's so many local nonprofits near us where the Carols are there. They're using their network. They're raising money to give to the homeless, or to give to people that are like veterans, or whatever the case may be. There's so many little nonprofits where all of my Carols are already going. Okay, the Chamber of Commerce. Now I have a caveat with this, because a lot of people will join the chamber and they'll go and they'll hand the business card and like talk to 3 people and that's it. The chamber has your customers also, but let's clarify. There's a bunch of different business owners there. Which of those businesses, their customer is the same as your customer? Which of those businesses has Carol as their customer also? You want to find out what those companies are, right? Once you find out what company has Carol that are coming into their doors all day and night, you can build a relationship with them. How can you serve their customers and they can serve yours? Because you have the same group of people, 50 to 70-year-old females that are going into both of these businesses. Sure. So let's see here. There is, let's talk about hangouts. Okay, there's in my city, there is a place called Barrels and Amps, which is a younger 30, 40-year-old like drink spot, hangout spot, right? Loud music, that kind of stuff. Okay, there's the person who owns that goes to the chamber. There is also the local wine bar, like 4 buildings down from that. And the people who go to the younger person bar, they do not go to the wine bar. The wine bar is full of Carols and all of her girlfriends. So we make it a point to, we actually do our weekly meeting at these kind of places. We'll sit down with our management team, and I want to be there, one, because I want to meet the manager and build a relationship with them, because that's another person who could potentially be on my strategic 20. But I'm also fishing in my Carol pond. So I think it's important to distinguish which companies have your Carols. Another one, my wife, who is the master marketer, she's meeting with everyone all the time. She out of the blue, met some person, referred her to a company, a local company who's in the chamber, and they do financial planning for seniors. So that person right there, they are just working with seniors, setting up wills, trusts, finances, all that kind of stuff. They see all of your Carols, and all those people have money. That's why they're doing the financial planning, right? So how do you meet with all these people? So we're actually setting up a coffee date with this company, and they're bringing some of their outside service people as well. So I think it's very important to distinguish who your Carols are, and then when you're at the chamber or use the principal, to find out what other businesses have those people, because those are the people where you can benefit them and they can benefit you. So retirement communities, churches, support groups. Does the biggest churches in your city, do they have a senior pastor? Like not a head pastor, but like a pastor for seniors, right? Because I know my senior pastor, the pastor for seniors at my church, and I toured him and his wife at my assisted living because they have senior small groups, right? So I want to be known by that person. The print, the online local media. So it can be, I wouldn't say like go and do like big national advertisings, right? You want to be, again, local in your city. And there is a Sun City, which is a big 55 plus neighborhood in my area. And there is those little pamphlets, they get mailed to the little magazines to this neighborhood every single month, right? It's free, they get it. That's very applicable, right? Who of your people in your city, the Carols, are actually seeing any type of print stuff? Don't look at like where the grandkids are, right? Like if you're on like Instagram and TikTok and stuff like that, that's where the grandkids are. But where are the 50 to 70-year-old ladies at looking at, right? They're looking at some stuff that's print, especially that older generation, and that's maybe where you want to market. So let me hit this idea again. Do you want to, when you're meeting your community, go to a group of carols, right? Go to like the wine bar we talked about, where they're all there, and one at a time, go and try and introduce yourself and talk to them for 5 to 10 minutes and share your heart? Or do you want to find the one lady who knows everyone in the room and meet her, build a relationship with her, have her tour your facility, and have her or him, right, share over the next few months as it naturally comes up in conversation with their girlfriends? Hey, you know, your mom's looking for someone. I see this and that. Like I went over to Platinum, I toured. They have a huge heart. They love on people. It's really special there, right? That's one person. Can you have 20 more people like that? That is how we have built such a huge wait list. We have calls every single week and tours every single week because of what we do in the community. It allows us not to spend money. Now we spent some money on it initially when we first started, but now we don't. So let's break this down a little bit more. Let's talk about step 3 here. Okay, so community sponsorships. So if you remember, we talked about this quadrants, right? The 4 squares in the beginning. Now we're in the lower half, and then that lower half is the community, and then that's broken up into paid and not paid. So let's talk about paid. Right now, the people in your community, they're not like a referral company, right? You're not going to write them a check for placement, but you may support their events. There's some companies here. It may be like different fundraisers. It may be nonprofits where you can actually donate to this thing. So, for example, there's 3 or 4 of them that we do every year. The Walk to End Alzheimer's is one of them, and there's a few other local nonprofits where all of the carols are going. So it's actually coming up in about a week or 2. We just bought a TV and we're donating it to this event. And what they do is every single year, we've done it the last couple of years, they have like this big game, right? They have the silent auction stuff where you can go bid on, but then they have the big game where you get like the beads and you do like rock, paper, scissors, last person wins, right? They win the TV. So the TV is always donated by us, Platinum Resort, and then they do this big fun game. Everyone's there, everyone's watching, and then they announce the winner and they say, hey, thank you to Platinum Resort. Donated the TV. They're here locally in Georgetown, right? I'm getting a shout out from the host at an event with hundreds of carols for $500. I do that every single year. That's one example of paying in the community. Now, I think that's really, really good, great way to go. But the other thing that it allows you to do is that allows you to get known by that influencer. Who is the head of that organization? Because you just donated TV to them, right? Now you can be like, hey, I would love to grab coffee with you. And then you'd be like, oh, would you like to tour our assisted living? Right? This allows you to transition and actually have a soft, natural approach to being able to build a relationship with someone who's not in the industry. Now, going back to our talk earlier, I think it's very easy and natural to build a relationship or to have a coffee date with someone in the industry because you have the same line of work. But if you're totally different on a different line of work, this is a natural, easy way to be able to start a friendship, to start a spark of a friendship, to create some kind of bond or link, right? Support them in what is they're passionate about, and then show them what you're passionate about. And do it to the people who are the leaders of these carols, who have your people. So donating and sponsorships in the community, I think that is super, super important. Has been really, really helpful for us. Okay, let's move over to the next part of the quadrant, referral. So unpaid people, unpaid leaders in the community. So you want to build the relationships with the influencer of these local groups, right? The local groups that already have all of your carols there. You're trying to find that one person who is able to, for the next year or 2, continue to refer and sell, right? Again, an influencer has 2 things. They have power and authority in their recommendation. They can say Platinum Resort is the best in Georgetown, and their girlfriends are going to believe it, right? And they also have a platform. They have a stage to be able to say, hey, you and you and you and you and you and you. You know, I've heard about this. You should check it out, right? And they have that stage, but it's to the appropriate avatar. It's to the carol. It's not to a bunch of 30-year-olds or college students, which have no application to this topic. Okay? So your goal is to build a genuine relationship. Your goal is to serve that people. If they're in the community, again, a lot of these things are nonprofits. A lot of these things are people with a passion, with a purpose. And that's why we are able to relate, right? We are here to serve people, to love on people, to take care of seniors. and they may be serving and loving in a different way, right? To different organization, but you have a bond, you have a connection. And if you are able to go and maybe they have a yearly event, maybe they have a community cleanup, can you go and actually just spend an afternoon, right? Like just be a real human being and like stop trying to make sales and start trying to build a relationship. That is the transition here, right? Like if you can go and serve their purpose and their passion, then you can start this friendship. You can offer to tour into your facility, and who else? What really are there other options, right? Like the big smelly 100-bed facility that's like, right? The other little mom and pop that like no one has ever heard of. Like, no, like be the real opportunity for them. So I want to hit this home a little bit more. If you want results, it's a relationship. A lot of if you have an assisted living, all the time, people knock on the door, it's the hospice company, and they have a little basket with cups and pens, and cookies, and bags of chips. And they're like, oh, I'm from such and such hospice. I'm just wanting to stop by and introduce myself. Like they are trying to do this strategy, which is really bad, right? They are trying to meet you, but they're not trying to build a relationship. They have like a checklist, right? Their boss said, hey, go hit these 10 spots this week, right? They're just checking it off the list, checking it off the list. You cannot treat this like a checklist. You have to treat it like a relationship. If you really want to be successful, it's building an actual friendship. It's knowing about their kids. It's knowing what's going on in their life. It's serving their purposes, right? That's why it's not 200 people, right? It's find 20, and you can start with the people who will always take your phone call because you can pay them. And then you continue to build these things up, right? It's just a natural flow of building relationships and getting no one in your community. And you will have your phone ringing and you'll have tours nonstop. So you only have so much time. I mean, realistically, like, this is a busy, hard industry, right? There's only so much time to take care of people, and you have staffing issues and call-outs and all this kind of stuff. So use your greatest efforts. And I think that's why I love the influencer strategy here, right? I can go, it's a good strategy to go and meet with all the Carols wherever they're hanging out. But realistically, in a room of like 50 Carols where they're all hanging out, I'm only going to talk to like 5 or 6 of them, right? Give my business card, 30 seconds, they're probably just going to throw it away. But if my objective is to go and to meet the leader, the influencer, the person who is the admin, who's running the event, and I may go like 3-4 months in a row on a monthly event, introduce myself, hey, I'm Brett from Platinum Resort. I'm here the next time, I'm asking about their kids. The third time, hey, you want to grab coffee, right? I'm picking a small group of people who have the most power and authority to be able to refer and have the biggest bang for their buck. So that's what you want to do, because you're too busy to do it the other way. You're too busy to do it. So start with the greatest concentration of your ideal customer, that's what we talked about with the Carols, and then find out who is the leader there. Okay, so this you can do before you open. So I started with, in the very beginning, so we have 62 people on our wait list, and we had almost all, I think we had 3 beds not sold. But out of our 16 beds, we had 12 or 13 deposits sold, $2,000 check in hand, and we were like literally like our house was demolished, right? Like it was terrible, and we were still able to do it. So you can start this when you're operating. You can start this when you're under construction, when you're looking for land. You can start this now. 10 minutes? Cool. Okay. So this is us. Here's actually my wife. We were actually touring people while it looked like this, right? People, they just want to hear about your heart. They just want to hear how you're going to love on their mom or their dad, right? You can use this. You don't have to wait to have your license. You don't have to wait to have a building. You can just do this with a dream. Here is my dream. I want to do things differently. Assisted livings are horrible. They're smelly. They get bad care. I want to do this differently. I have a passion experience. And just get out there and meet people, right? You can start right now with whatever stage you were in. So we got the sheetrock up here. We're still touring people. We got a bunch of doors in the room. So I would say that start now. Start now, because it only gets easier. The more people you meet, the more people you build a relationship with, they will tell about you. They will introduce you to people. They will tag you on social, and you will meet more and more people, right? It's like a curve, right? Like the longer you go, the easier it gets. It's exponential in this. So have some accountability. We do a weekly meeting with our, my wife and I and our managers, right? We have KPIs. In those weekly meetings, in the KPIs, every week, we have a checklist. We ask, how many marketing events did you go to? How many posts on social media did you do? How many new lead calls did we get every week? How many new tours did we get every week? How many people did we add to our wait list every week? Right? So we're consistently getting 3 or 4 new lead calls every week. We're consistently doing 1 to 2 tours a week, and we're consistently adding 1 person to our wait list every week. Right? And it's not because we're paying referrals, right? It's because we have built this. And it is something that just keeps adding value to you. So within 6 months of being open, we were completely full, and we have 20 people on our wait list. 20 people using this strategy within 6 months, right? So there's no excuses for you to wait. Don't wait to get your license. Don't wait for hiring the marketing person, right? Like, this is your business, right? This is how you take care of your family. This is your future. There's no excuse for this. Now is the time to start for this. So let's talk quickly about this bonus. This is the strategy where you can next become the expert, okay? We've talked about how there's all these other influencers that you're trying to get on your list. What if you became the influencer, right? So I would focus on the strategic 20, do all that, but at some point you may be curious, like, what if I did this? This is what we're doing next, okay? How do you think the referral agencies, the home health, the hospice companies, how do you think they all do it, right? They're not playing placement agents to do it, right? They're out there, they're getting known, they're networking in the community, they're doing the grind that we just talked about, right? They're meeting people. So how do you do it? You provide value to the customer. You provide value to the carer, okay? How do you service their mom, their dad at the end of life? How do you give them information about placement? How do you give them information about wills, living trusts, right? How do you do these things? So here's why we are transitioning. We are building, we have 116 and we're going to 80. Okay, so I have 8 acres. I'm building a neighborhood. I call them assisted living mansions. They're 16 bedrooms, 17 baths, about 10,000 square feet each. Here, I'll show you a picture. These are them here. So we're cutting our own street into this land, and no parking lot in the front, 4 big mansions next door to each other. It looks like a custom builder built like a community, a little neighborhood of assisted living mansions. So what we are doing is we are actually starting our own support group, right? A local group where people can come and we can be the expert. We can be the influencer. Okay, so what we're doing, we're actually partnering with the local magazine that I talked about that gets delivered to the senior community, and we're going to do it. We're going to pay, no problem, but a monthly column, right? That's talking about a topic, right? It may be on like showering, it may be on dementia, it may be on selling mom's house, right? Have an actual column in there every month, and then point people to your local meetup and say, hey, if you're interested, we're going to be meeting at such and such place, and we're actually meeting at the restaurant, at the 55 plus golf course, right? Like, I'm going to be where my carols are at, and I'm going to promote this. I'm going to add value, and when they come, I am now the expert. I am the influencer. I have their list of names and their emails. Okay, now you're realistically only coming if you have a problem or mom is coming up on a problem soon, right? This means that these are your potential customers in 90 days and 180 days, or else why else would they be there, right? They're not there for the lunch. They're there to find out, how do I take care of my aging parent? So you get to become the expert. If you are not comfortable being the expert, you could be the host. You could be the admin person, right? If you don't like to get on stage and talk, like, then don't. You're just there to check people in, to be a friendly face, to be the hostess. And now you can bring in local experts, right? You're in assisted living. You know the hospice people, you know the home health people, you know the nurses. You can bring them in once a month to do different topics, rotating topics. And now you become the expert. You become the influencer. Now you have power in your referral. When they say, hey, Brett, you know, my mom's getting close, what should I do? Well, you can do this and this, here's some resources. But if you want to tour our facility, if you want to tour our home, like, you know, let me know, we'll schedule it. You have the authority for recommend, and you have the platform and the people. All right. So, would you have too many leads for this? I mean, we already have too many leads with our 20, but would you have too many leads? Probably, right? Like, what would you do with your too many leads? This is what my wife and I are talking. We're actually thinking about opening our own referral company, right? So, open your own referral company. Here's my takeaways as we wrap up here. Okay, step number 1, the placement agency. It is a great, easy starting point, right? They will always take your calls. Use it to start, and then use it as a backup plan. But your focus should be on the referral side. people in the industry, people in the community, right? That's like a flywheel. Once you get it going, it's just gonna keep spinning and spinning and spinning. It's gonna throw off so many leads. And it's nice to have a bed full, but it's nice to have beds full and a wait list, and you're not even paying for these placement agencies. So keep going with that. The more you do, the easier it gets. If you want more information, we do an actual training on this, how to set up your strategic 20 list. So you can reach out to me. Our website here, palm.university. You can look at a virtual tour of our assisted living, and then we have a bunch of additional info, free videos and documents on this. So if you want to connect, here is my email, brett@palm.university. And Palm is Platinum Assisted Living Mansion, because we're a Platinum Assisted Living, we're building mansions. So thank you all so much. I appreciate the time. I hope this was really valuable.